So we have found ourselves in another series. So Solar is going to be waiting for the winner of Beyond versus Hero. Beyond and Hero are being played on Steadfast's channel, I'm pretty sure. So if you want to tune into that, there is an English caster for that series. But we have found ourselves in another series, mid-series.
At the end of the series, yeah.
True.
And we are concluding this series on Berlingrad LE. We're in the bottom right-hand corner map, spawning all the way in the bottom right-hand corner. We have the blue Terran player coming down from the land of Korea. He, of course, is going to be representing Dragon Phoenix Gaming, DPG. He is the mayor of Six City. He is Cure.
And spawning in the top left-hand corner of Berlingrad LE, we have the South Korean Terran player representing Psystorm Gaming. It is GuMiho.
And now that I notice the dog is, oh, look at that! He's trying to be SCVs. He wants to help out.
Ah, doggy.
Yeah, he wants to help. He's a good boy. But yeah, I was gonna say, now that I noticed the doggos, I'm remembering now. I'm gonna need someone to correct me because it's been a long time since I've seen that movie. Is Marley and Me a Christmas movie? I remember vague Christmas stuff in it.
So do I. I remember the actor's name wearing a Christmas hat at some point in that movie.
Yeah.
That's burned into my skull.
Did a dog ever wear a Christmas hat?
Maybe.
Did Marley? Old mate Marley?
Maybe he did. Maybe he did.
I remember he wore like a Jamaican hat in the prequel.
What, a prequel?
I don't know why I remember the prequel more than the original.
Why? There was a prequel?
Yeah.
Oh god.
And he wore like a Jamaican hat. Kinda.
Oh god. What the hell would the prequel have been called? I'm just.
I think it was like a puppy or something.
Jesus.
Hold
Christ. No, it's not important. It's not important. Shaking my head, Yaku. As we're just getting into this series. Sorry if I was a little bit distracted. I was just quickly taking a screenshot. I am tweeting for StarCraft Esports at the moment just to make sure everything is good.
Speaking of important.
Exactly. There we go. Beautiful, mate. Beautiful. But yeah, we are mid-series. We're tied up 1-1. Fun fact, the other reason why I saw this series open up, I noticed that, again, we have very limited casters, so even though I wanted to see where Solar's run would end, I also recognize that Steadfast does, he's the much larger streamer. He's probably going to follow his series into Solar, so it's like, okay, we need to split up. Might as well do it prematurely, and hey, this series goes into Ragnarok.
Exactly, a player who we haven't been able to cast in quite some time. Used to be much more of a mainstay here in the weeklies, but yeah. It's a Christmas miracle that we'll get him after this series. For now, we're going to have to determine who his opponent will be, though, as GuMiho and Cure have slightly different approaches in their openings. It's still, Reaper Hellion dominated, but with different follow-ups behind that.
Exactly. Like, what's important to note is that Cure is going for his Reaper Hellion opening, very aggressive. GuMiho, not as much. He did invest into a Cyclone, which is great, but he doesn't have a lot of buffer. But, oh, I love this. He's hiding the Widowmine underneath his Cyclone.
Just waiting for the Reapers to get close. One
God.
Reaper, and also, that is split right at the last second there from Cure. He's able to keep most of his units alive, but unable to utilize them to get any damage done.
It's one of those things where that was a sexy split by Cure, but it was not sexy enough, mate. Who does he think he is? Rogue? Nah, mate. GuMiho does defend beautifully, doesn't lose any of his workers, and honestly didn't really lose a lot of his army either. He lost like 2 Reapers, and that's kind of it.
Did he get friendly fire on that Banshee? There's no other way that Banshee would have taken damage.
Yeah, it must have been friendly fire, yeah.
Aye.
It's fine. Meanwhile, there is no cloak for that Banshee, so there's no way for it to really get across the map and deal too much damage, but it was solid for initial defense, right? And I mean, Cure has a Raven as well, so like investing into cloak wouldn't have really been worth it.
Yeah, it's pretty much just a Banshee to keep him alive.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it can still provide a little bit of support as the game continues. Just a little bit of added damage on, say, a tank or some other key unit from the side of Cure.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. I think the other important thing is that GuMiho has been defending with the bare minimum amount of units. Like, he's been very efficient with what he's been building and how he's been using them. And that's kind of what you have to do. I was going to say if you transition into mech, but no, GuMiho is not going into mech. He throws down two more axes.
Yeah, despite his reputation, he does go for bio every now and then.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
By every now and then, I do mean every other game.
Yeah, he's not a one-trick pony or anything like that. Like, he is known for one of the players who does embrace mech more often than not, more than the others, but that's because the others just don't play mech.
Well, I definitely used to play mech pretty much exclusively back in the very, very early days, but yeah, you realized pretty early on that you can't afford to play one style and win tournaments and win the games.
Exactly. You need to be able to diversify, and so far he's done a decent job at just controlling the map. At the same time, Reapers are going to be able to slip in, but there's a tank in position. Ooh, Reapers are going to get taken out. Do they get a scout though? Oh!
They do, and they will at least confirm for Cure that GuMiho is going for bio instead of mech this game. These Ravens really don't want to spend their energy. Which I get. I mean, it's really important to have full energy Ravens to, one, defend against a push, or two, push out against your opponent.
Definitely. GuMiho he is able to conserve all that energy. He does scout the army in the middle of the map. Has to be careful not to lose anything here, and he just barely doesn't. But as you were saying, that scout was so important. Like, Cure hadn't seen any of those Marines, any of that production. He had no idea what GuMiho was going to go for. Now he has a better grasp on the situation, and he's trying to push out. But again, he has been scouted, so GuMiho, he's ready.
Yeah, the last thing he wants is to get caught in the middle of the map with all of these siege tanks. Cyclone and, I almost said Hellion here, Banshee, looked like they were trying to go around the army to get some harassment done, but I guess there were enough defenses out for Cure. Yeah,
I love how patient GuMiho is being with this, right? Like, a Banshee in the middle of a fight isn't really going to do too much, but if a fight happens and a Banshee just slips into a mineral line, then it can be insane, right? It can get out of control. And GuMiho is just waiting for that moment. He's trying to slip around, but he has to be careful. Oh god, the tank does immediately take down the Cyclone, and the Banshee, no! Overextending a little bit to show his hand.
Yeah, but doesn't get taken out. It's always nice to see. GuMiho will confirm that there's no army in position, and so he seeks in a couple of Marines just to deal with that sensor tower.
Yeah, I love it, especially because he doesn't lose a single Marine, so that's only energy lost on those medevacs. And as a result, he's able to at least keep Cure in the dark and keep him guessing him and force him to stay here because, for all he knows, there's an army waiting outside.
Yeah, the more information you can deny your opponent, the better. I mean, just in general.
Yeah.
In games, but especially in the TvT, where the army can only be in one place at a time.
Pretty much, mate. Pretty much. Meanwhile, we do have a scan. Armies are going to be able to spot each other. As it looks like that Banshee did not go down. Was able to clean up one of those Marines. The Cyclone was actually trying to hunt it down as best it could. Both armies just kind of checking each other.
Yeah. Checking each other out. Now that the Cyclone's in the middle of the map, does Cure have any defenses by that natural base?
Ooh.
He does.
One missile's hard. If that Banshee was at full HP, I do think it could maybe slip past. But it's not at full HP.
Fortunately not. Now we're getting to the part of the TvT where players are just sort of baiting, or trying to bait one another into their tanks, and neither of them are really taking the bait.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a positional battle that's being played right now. They both, if you can hear it, they just keep scanning each other back and forth. They want to see where they are. If at any moment one player catches the other off guard, like that could be game.
I can't stop hearing it. I hear that.
Yeah.
Or I guess it's more like a.
Like, I'm gonna hear that when I go to bed tonight, man.
Oh
god, he's going in!
What's going on? He is trying to go in. It's a nice spread on his Marines, but Cure does have a little bit more of his army. He gets quite a number of disables out, but nowhere near enough to really force GuMiho back.
Yeah, exactly. You could argue maybe wasted disables there because nothing really came from them. He couldn't really press his advantage because there were so many Marines left alive. They were just waiting for Cure to try and dive on top of those tanks. Oh, so they did kind of just like have a moment there where things were a little bit chaotic, but no one really committed to anything. GuMiho couldn't because of the disables, and yeah, now we have a little bit more of a stalemate here.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for Cure to get Liberators out now.
That's a lot of Vikings.
Absolute control of he has absolute control of the skies. He's got a very nice position, or a very nice siege line on his tanks, where the Marines would be forced to take damage if they want to deal with the Liberators. He may as well, honestly.
Yeah, yeah.
But he's vexed out. Okay, that explains why he's not getting them.
I mean, that explains why he's not getting them, but he is trying to transition. We have 2 starports on the way. We should see a fusion core, and even though he's maxed out, he should start working on that Liberator range.
Right. That makes more sense.
Yeah, if he wants to start working on that. Meanwhile, GuMiho, while he backed off, he's been making his own Viking armies. So, again, you have to be very careful with when you decide to switch into Liberators. You have to make sure you do have that air superiority.
Yeah, that math is very delicate, and it's also why I keep slipping up in TvT.
Yeah, like I was never good at math back in the day, man.
Back in the day, I'm still not good at math.
Oh god.
What are you?
Feels bad, man. Feels bad. You're trying to find a way in? Oh, doesn't find it. Yeah.
I actually kind of like this. Yeah. I actually kind of like this response from GuMiho. So, one, he knows that Cure is being held back, so he's using that time to get as many CCs as possible. But also, he knows that he's behind on the Viking count. So instead of trying to go into Liberators, he's instead going for Mass Ravens.
Yeah, Mass Raven is one of the options you can go for in late game TvT. That's why Corvid Reactors is on the way. No, all the Marines are gone! And we do have the Marines being dropped on all these tanks. The friendly fire, so many tanks are going to go down. And GuMiho has to make something happen, but the tanks are already sieged up on top of the ramp.
That's a lot of tanks to get taken out in the blink of an eye. It almost resets GuMiho's tank count.
Yeah.
That's kind of what happens when you fight with hit sets of tower range.
Exactly. Feels bad, man. Like GuMiho, he just lost 5 tanks for free just because he left them exposed, because he left with all of his Marines. And to be fair, like Cure isn't really pressing his advantage here. He's still waiting for more upgrades, more production. But there's definitely a moment there where he could have just like maybe tried to pull the trigger. It's just always so hard to do so in this matchup.
Especially when your opponent has so many techs sieged up. The last thing you want to do is run the meat grinder.
Exactly.
Or cause a meat grinder.
Yeah, like, I'm sure if Cure, like, I'm sure he's scanning and he's clicking right now. Like, GuMiho has the superior Marines. He has 3-3. Cure doesn't. Like, even though he reset the tank count, like, he can't win a Marine versus Marine engagement at the moment, so he can't pounce. He has to wait. He has to wait for his own upgrades.
But they are getting there very soon, and honestly, one good anti-armor missile, just like that one, can absolutely level the playing field.
That was like maximum effectiveness there with that anti-armor missile. Jesus Christ, like, oh god.
ASMR,
yeah,
anti-armor missiles.
Kira, he wants to fight forces to Stim. Stim does nothing, but we do have the anti-armor missile from the side of GuMiho.
And I love it, it's so aesthetic. We see the anti-armor missile explode right in the center of an army. No wasted AoE. It is beautiful, but there are no tanks to stop this Marine army, but there's nothing back at home for GuMiho either.
Yeah.
We are going full base race.
Exactly. Like, GuMiho very nicely does dance around the army, and he does find a way straight into the main on top of the production. Oh my god. Meanwhile, at the same time, Cure also in the production of GuMiho.
So Cure definitely has the army advantage, but GuMiho did make a whole lot of CCs earlier on.
Yeah.
Hasn't remade his production anywhere, though.
I'm really concerned GuMiho has a massive disadvantage when it comes to tanks. Like, he cannot win a head-on engagement. And the tanks will eventually clean all this up. There's only a single medevac here. Like, there's no way out.
And we're not going to get a tie. I mean, Cure still has a massive amount of Vikings. I feel like that's the one win condition for GuMiho, is if he can somehow deal with all of these Vikings, but he cannot. He loses his army on the other side of the map, and he loses everything on his side of the map as well. Cure takes that series 2-1. Was there ever any doubt? Well, I'm gonna be honest, I guess it was less doubt for Cure and more hype for GuMiho here, because in very recent weeks he has been improving a lot, at least when it comes to going up against these top players. I mean, who did he take out? He took out somebody huge in last week's bracket. Dark! Yeah. He took out Dark last week. And that was absolutely insane.
Mate, he knocked Dark out of StarCraft because Dark didn't show up today. he's still recovering. Still exactly.
You think he's hungover from Christmas party? No. He's hungover from last week's ESL Asia.
Yeah, from GuMiho, mate. He just drunk himself into a stupor after that, mate. That was the only answer. But yeah, like, TvT is always difficult, especially on Berlingrad. You saw that it only takes a couple of seconds to stim and get across the map into your opponent's main. Like, that was a very quick base trade that happened there. And GuMiho, he was making some nice moves, but again, we saw the critical moments where he lost all of his tanks, and he was never able to rebuild them after that happened. Like, it was like he just lost so much there when he left them exposed.
Yeah, it's backbone of your army in almost every matchup, but especially when you're going Marine Tank versus Marine Tank like that. You lose your backbone, you just sort of flop over.
Yeah.
It's my understanding anyway, of anatomy.
You can't stand upright, mate. You lose your back.
Yeah. You lose your lack.
There you go.
You see me lack? Bro?
Sure.
We have a TVZ for our next match.
We do. We're just setting this up. We're just messaging the players. It is gonna be Le Cure versus Le Ragnarok.